how people say, like, how would you describe this year? It's kind of like that. If that happens and you keep stopping yourself, you're never gonna get anywhere. Well, it's just, you know, $5 here, $5 there, because it adds up, it really does. And you're not focused on worrying about the what ifs in the future, you're just simply remaining in the present, but just do it in a more organized way where it's still healthy and not too much freedom. My number one resolution, which I've been saying in all my videos, is Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Eva. It is that time of year to start thinking about New Year's resolutions. Some people love resolutions, some people hate them. It all depends on what your preference is, but I personally really like resolutions. I don't tend to make very specific resolutions, but I like to have a sense of what I would like to accomplish going into the year so that I'm ready, I'm prepared, I have that motivation to really start the new year fresh and think of it as sort of like a reset for the entire year. So I did go back and check the video that I made for 2022 resolutions that I made at the end of last year just to see what my goals were, to make sure I was remembering them correctly, because I do have a habit of not going back and making sure I remember exactly what my goals were, but I do have a general sense of what I wanted to do for 2022. So I went back and wrote down my 4 New Year's resolutions for this year. So in this video, I'd like to discuss whether I accomplished those or not, and my resolutions moving into the next year. And I wrote them down, and they're actually 4 goals again. So I guess 4 is just the number I go with. 4 doesn't seem like too many goals, but it does seem like enough goals to really have something to work towards and to motivate you that you can accomplish throughout the entire year. So these aren't exactly short-term goals, but these are goals that I'd like to do throughout the year and to continue working on and seeing the effects of doing them for a consistently long time. As always, before we get into the video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video if you'd like to continue seeing videos on my goal setting process, and don't forget to comment below what your New Year's resolutions are for the upcoming year. One thing that I did in my previous New Year's resolution video that I really enjoyed doing was reflecting on this year, and I kept it very simple. I just wrote down things that I wish I did more of and things that I'm proud I did accomplish. And it didn't have to really do with my goals that I set as my resolutions, but it did have to do with just a general sense of my I guess like my description of this year. You know how people say, like, how would you describe this year? It's kind of like that, but it's just a general overview of how I thought this year went. I think it's safe to say that a lot of people thought that 2022 was an incredibly busy, stressful in some cases year. In my case, it was very stressful, but just a general sense of a lot of change, a lot of growth, a lot of adapting, a lot of transitions for a lot of people, and a lot of challenges too. So really trying to get through some difficult times. And then with that being said, I feel like 2023 will be a year of kind of getting through that transition and change and then applying what you have learned in 2022 to 2023. And that is my case, but I have also gotten that sense from other people that this year has just been very hectic and all over the place, and a lot of people felt very ungrounded. So I'm curious to know if you all felt that way as well. So again, don't forget to comment below, you know, even if you had some challenges this year, what were they and how did you get through them? And how are you applying some of the things that you learned this year into next year? So when I think about things I wish I did this year, I do wish that I practiced more mindfulness. And I'll go more into this as we go through my 2022 goals, because one of them was to actively practice meditation and journaling and more yoga. I do wish that I had implemented more mindfulness into my routine just because it was such a stressful year for me and I had a lot going on. So had I done that, I probably would have been able to handle that a little bit differently, but also just have a different mindset going through that. So that probably would have made me just feel emotionally better. And included in that is practicing more gratitude. I wish that I had focused more on that this year. As the year began to come to an end, like maybe in the past couple of months, I do feel like I've been practicing more gratitude than I had throughout this whole year. And it does make such a difference. I can't even describe how much of a difference it makes just to change how you look at things and to it gives you a sense of like relief and a sense of peace, because you're not so focused on the negative, and you're not focused on things that have happened that have been challenges, and you're not focused on worrying about the what ifs in the future. You're just simply remaining in the present, and you're focusing on things that you do have and you are appreciative of and you really enjoy and that you feel proud of that you've done so far. So it's really changing, your thought patterns, which is great. So I do wish that I did more of that, but definitely can apply that to next year. And finally, along with that, more optimism. So like I said, just practicing more optimism, having more positive thoughts, more positive thinking patterns, and not thinking so much in the negative. So yeah, things I wish I did definitely centered around my mindset and gratitude and mindfulness and more emotional aspects of this year, rather than even, goals that I set or physical things. So yeah, and things that I'm glad I did involved getting through those challenges. So I'm proud that I've gotten through them. And that's not to say that there aren't currently challenges in my life or other people's lives, and they're kind of ongoing, but just the fact that you are working out how to get through them and finding ways and learning more about yourself in terms of getting through those challenges and facing them head on, definitely something that I'm glad I was able to do. And something that was a little bit more specific that I'm glad that I was able to do was I was more flexible with my diet. Again, this was one of my 2022 goals, and that was actually the first one. So I will talk about that probably now, because this was something that was very important to me to do. In 2022, my first goal was to be more flexible with my diet and exercise. This was something that was difficult, but I think it just kind of happened, and then I realized the benefits afterward, which was interesting. So, for example, I didn't set an intention to do this in this particular way, and that includes incorporating a more balanced diet. I was previously on the keto/paleo diet. I kind of did my own individualized version of that, and exercising in a very specific way. And my goal was to become more flexible with that, because I felt like it was more of a burden on me in terms of everything else that I was going through, rather than something that was beneficial. So I definitely was able to become more balanced with my diet and not worry so much about if I ate certain things throughout the day, which I think helped my mental health. I think it helped just feel a bit less pressure on myself. And in turn, I actually felt better. And that's not to say that I don't believe in the keto or paleo diet. I'm still a strong believer in that. And I do hope to take elements of each diet and still incorporate that into my diet to this day. But I have changed my mindset, which has helped me to look at it a different way, which has been important. And to exercise, I did not exercise as much as I had hoped to this year. But again, I started back at the gym, and, it's kind of like I spent this whole year focusing on so many other things that now it's at the end, I'm starting to focus more on the goals I set earlier in this year. So that kind of happened more towards the end of the year, like getting back into fitness, focusing on exercise, getting back to the gym. So I would say that I accomplished that goal. I think that moving forward, I learned ways to become more flexible with my mindset, with diet and exercise, and I can use that in the upcoming year. My second goal was to budget more. I also think I accomplished this because I bought my first budget planner ever in my life, and I began to use that consistently. So every month I would budget out my expenses. I would even use the new cash envelope system that I started this year. And it was very helpful. It was very helpful to see everything just written out in front of me instead of guessing, instead of swiping my card. I used physical money. And this is definitely something that I can take with me next year. I actually spoke about my updated budget planner that I'm going to be using in 2023 in my last video, which is my planner tour. Check it out. And so yeah, I would say I accomplished my second goal as well. My third goal, unfortunately, I did not accomplish this. This was to actively practice meditation and journaling and yoga. And that's exactly what I was saying. I wish I did this, but unfortunately, I did not meet that goal. This seems to be an ongoing goal for me that is very important to me and has such a beneficial effect, but I just can't seem to follow through with it. And I'm not going to say I don't have the time, I just don't prioritize it as much as I should. So I really want to focus on that next year. So I won't say I accomplished that. And finally, my last goal was to devote time to thinking about my goals and passions and who I am, and just get a sense of where I want to move forward in terms of what's important to me, you know, whether that's career-wise or interests I have that I'd like to develop. So I don't think I accomplished this because I don't think I spent enough time doing this. I do think I learned a lot about myself, but not in terms of, you know, that specifically, you know, those topics specifically. So I do want to spend more time doing that in the upcoming year. And I think what I've learned this year will help me do that. So yeah, that's going to be really interesting to really spend time thinking about, you know, what is important to me, what are my passions, and how would I like to go about accomplishing those and sharing them. So moving on to my 2023 New Year's resolutions, my number one resolution, which I've been saying in all my videos, is I want to meditate. But not just meditate, I want to meditate every day once January 1st starts for 365 days, every day. And I honestly, this is so funny to me because I struggle with just meditating every day in a week. But I feel like if I set this big goal, it will be more motivation to accomplish it. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you set a big goal like that, like for example, if you set like, oh, I want to meditate for the next 7 days, in some situations that's great, and it gets you motivated to start that. But if I set a big goal like that, if I accomplish like 50 days out of the year, I'm gonna want to keep going. So that is my first resolution, to meditate every single day. And I'm hoping by the end of it, I want to do a video sharing my experience with that. So I really hope that I can work towards that. My second resolution is to be much more strict with my budget and to also start using savings challenges. So I'm going to take a look and see what savings challenges are out there. If anybody has some suggestions, that would be great. I'm curious to know like which ones I might want to try using, but I definitely want to try something because I'd love to save this year much more than I did this, or I'd like to save next year. Technically, we're still in 2022. I'd like to save next year much more than I did this year. And I also want to budget much more strictly. So basically using my planner as much as I can and sticking to it as much as I can, and my phone apps for budgeting. I really just want to stick with what I have set out money-wise for the month, and to just avoid saying to myself, well, it's just, you know, $5 here, $5 there, because it adds up. It really does, and I don't want that to happen. I want to really stick with what's on the paper. Oh my gosh, my allergies are acting up so much. Are anyone else's allergies acting up? Mine are weird. They happen in the fall and winter. Anyway, my third resolution is to, I guess I labeled this healthier me. So I guess to focus on diet and fitness, limit indulgences, lose weight. Just like everybody, I gained weight over COVID during that whole time. And I'd like to just get back on track because I'm a pretty active person. I love fitness and I love working towards fitness goals and diet goals. And I've just been in this, I don't know if it's the holidays or what, but I've just been indulging in sweets and everything. And I would really like to stop doing that. So I'm going to limit my indulgences. I'm going to continue this balanced approach to diet, but just do it in a more organized way where it's still healthy and not too much freedom, and also get back into some sort of fitness routine. I really liked my fitness routine this year, and just actually in general, because I tend to do a mix of cardio and weights, and I really think that works for me, and I think it's important for your body to do both. So I'm gonna figure out some sort of fitness routine that I can implement in the new year, just so I have some sense of what's going on with that. So, healthier me. And my fourth goal is the same as my fourth goal that I set for this year, which is to reflect on my own goals and passions. But this included, and I wrote this down, to take chances despite fears. And this is so hard for people, including myself, to do things despite being afraid of what's going to happen. And that can mean both success and failure. And that's interesting to think about because it does require some sort of commitment, even if you're afraid of success. So, yeah, just kind of working through fears, not letting that stop you from doing what you'd like to do, because if that happens and you keep stopping yourself, you're never going to get anywhere. And you are never going to do things that are really important to you and that help you grow as a person, and you're not going to share with the world. And that includes YouTube, because YouTube, there are aspects of YouTube and social media that are scary or uncomfortable, and including for myself. And as you guys can probably tell, this is a new channel, somewhat new. I mean, it's not new, but it's, I'm still working on growing it, and it's pretty early on in my stages as a YouTuber. But you just have to work through those fears and just do it. And you can't let your thoughts stop you from just sharing things and just doing it and following through. So definitely want to do that. So I do have my 4 goals all set. And yeah, I'll continue to be doing some monthly reset videos to break some of these things into smaller goals. So if you're interested in seeing more specific goals pertaining to my larger yearly resolution goals, definitely keep an eye out for some upcoming videos. And yeah, I hope everybody is having a great end to the year. It's, like I said, it was such a big year. I feel like it's one of those things where time has flown by so fast, but it's also been so dragged out and long. Like, it's been jam-packed this year with so many different things, and it's like, wow, that really only happened in a year. So yes, but I hope everybody's ending the year great and moving into 2023 feeling refreshed and rested and ready to get started on some of your new goals for next year. So, as always, thank you for watching this video, and I will see you next time. Bye!